I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. Sorry, had to release my Mariah Carey. I couldn't help it. So if you're like me and basically anyone else in America right now, there's been just an influx of conversation about the cost of living. I see it here in my local area, which happens to be Jacksonville, Florida, but I've seen it absolutely all over the United States domestically, from Utah all the way up to New York. It is getting hard out on the streets to pay the bills. And coming from someone, if you don't know anything about me, I've gone from dead broke to making a pretty good living now. So I've been in all types of situations. I've been basically living in my car to now having a house. So I've definitely been blessed that my hard work has paid off, but a lot of people are not so blessed right now. So I wanted to do a deep dive into a PBS video that I saw on YouTube that kind of addresses how people are working, but yet still are on the verge of or are basically homeless. So let's kind of dig right in and see what the world has to say.
The skyrocketing cost of living has left millions of people working at full-time jobs or a number of part-time jobs still unable to afford a place to live. Ali Rogan is back with her conversation with journalist Brian Goldstone, author of There Is No Place for Us, about this growing nationwide crisis.
So just right there, the article, author of it, No Place for Us. I mean, that just kind of really defines how bad it is, right? So I think it kind of sets the tone pretty well. So let's see what they have to say.
Thank you so much for joining us. In your work, you've come to know many people who work, who may have more than one job, but have come into circumstances where they cannot afford to keep a roof over their heads. Certainly, each person has a unique story, but are there any common threads in their experiences that you've been able to identify?
Yeah, absolutely. I do argue in my book that in cities across America today, in one city after another, a low wage job really is homelessness waiting to happen. And
So let's break that down for a second. What exactly is a low wage job, right? It depends. Are we talking about the federal minimum, which I think is still 725 maybe, which is obviously really low in today's economy, especially you're trying to support yourself just one single income. But for some people, low wage is $20 an hour. For some people, 40 or more, especially if you're in Los Angeles, New York, or some of these more expensive places. So I think that's really an important aspect, is how we define like what exactly is low wage, and that's going to be very situationally dependent for everybody.
And what they have in common is they all belong to the low wage workforce. And it's not just that their wages are too low to keep up with the skyrocketing cost of having a place to live. It's also that the jobs themselves have become increasingly volatile and precarious, where
Yeah.
they often don't know how many hours they're going to be getting from one week to the next. Their employers give them 29 hours a week because at 30 they would be eligible for basic benefits like health insurance or
Hmm.
sick leave. And yeah, the cost of housing, rents are just very quickly outpacing what their incomes are. So that's kind of the backdrop.
I would be really curious, and for those of you that are watching and feel like sharing, how many of you guys are working hourly versus salary? I have a corporate job, and I intend to keep it for as long as possible because it really makes benefits like health insurance so much cheaper, right? Because they're putting in a lot of money into my benefits. But hourly employees can have it rough, right? Because for me, if I work, say, 30 hours, I'm still getting paid for 40. Now, I've never worked 30 hours in my job. I don't think ever. It's usually an average of 50 to sometimes up to 65, which is pretty rough. And I'm stupid enough to do this on the side too. So I'm a workaholic, but that's okay. But for those of you who are work hourly, how often are you guys' hours being cut? I'd be very curious to know.
That that defines these people's existence.
For a long time, the stereotypical perception of homelessness is that it is something that happens to people on the fringes of society, and that may have never been accurate. But what have you found out in your reporting about the reality of what it's like to be without a home?
Yeah, I mean, one really astonishing truth about homelessness in America is that what we see on the street is really the tip of the iceberg.
That is
There's this
crazy.
entire world
Crazy,
of
crazy.
homelessness that is out of sight, that has been rendered invisible. And within that shadow realm of homelessness, as I refer to it, it is overwhelmingly populated with people, again, who are part of the low wage workforce, who families with children. And these are people who are working and working and working some more, and it simply is not enough to secure one of life's most basic necessities.
So I'm kind of glad they show Amazon here because I've heard a lot of flack from Amazon. I've seen actually plenty of articles and actually videos too online about warehouses shutting down. So if you're watching and you're at work at Amazon and you're affected by this, I'd also love to hear from you because honestly, I feel from you. I buy and my wife buys probably too much from Amazon. So we just like lining their pockets with money. What can we say? But it is very convenient. So for those of you who worked over Black Friday to deliver some of my stuff, they got here. And I just want to say thank you. If you're out there and you had just a truck full of crap and you had zero motivation, but you did it anyway, really, thank you from the bottom of my heart. So it's just, I think that independent of Amazon or maybe it's FedEx, maybe UPS, I think these the workers that work as couriers or in the delivery business, I think they're really underappreciated.
It's a roof overhead. I mean, to be sure, in the richest nation on the planet, nobody should be without housing. But these pernicious myths and stereotypes that homelessness is just caused by addiction or it's just caused by mental illness, it really is not borne out by the reality on the ground. And indeed, often mental illness and addiction is a consequence of this form of insecurity, not its
Yes.
cause.
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the lives of the homeless workers are day in and day out? And also, do those lives get harder during the holidays?
I think it's really easy for terms like the housing crisis or the homelessness crisis to become kind of abstract and to lose touch with just the acute human toll of this growing catastrophe in America.
So I'm glad he said that. The acute human toll. That's kind of a political way to put it, in my opinion. Basically, what he's saying is everybody's hurting, right? And the toll that it takes on each person is definitely very, very situationally dependent. Like for me, if I experience homelessness with a family and a 1-year-old daughter, that's going to hit me a lot harder than Slick Ricky AOE 2000, that's just chilling on the street and maybe has one roommate and no family. And not knocking you if that's you, that's cool. But at the same time, it's still important to remember that each person is going to be affected by the cost of living a whole lot differently. And I don't know about you, but I've seen little families on the street at Walmart, and that does break my heart. Man, it really does. So if that's you, I feel for you. I'm here for you. The Dad Gang supports you 100%.
What homelessness looks like today isn't just the person sleeping outside the parking lot of a convenience store or a Walmart or a Target. It's often the very cashier or worker stocking the shelves in those stores. And they often have children at the end of their shifts.
Yep.
They don't know where they're going to be going. They have to tell their children, I don't know where we're staying tonight. Maybe they're sleeping in a car in that very parking lot. And, there's a term that public health experts use to refer to the kind of stress that children and parents are exposed to in these circumstances. And that term is toxic stress. This is stress that is so chronic, so debilitating that it can fundamentally alter a child.
Let's break that down a little bit. Toxic stress response occurs continually or is triggered by multiple sources. So for children especially, like take my own daughter, for example, right? Like let's say she's one. Actually, I'm going to bring this up, real talk with you guys for a second, real talk. Like my girl is absolutely my world, right? And if she was on the street, this would absolutely tear me up. And I would consider that a toxic stress for me personally, right? To see my family, to see whether it's my wife or whether it's my child actually on the street and suffering, it would just break me. And at the end of the day, that's a big reason on why I get up out of bed every day. A lot of times 4 a.m., 3:30 a.m. to grind for my corporate job, to do everything I want to do at the side, to run my photography business, to do this. It keeps me up. It keeps me focused. And for me, I think that's a good thing. And for others that might not have that drive, for those of you that are single out there, if you don't have a family to motivate you, you have to find something to motivate you. Because at the end of the day, your situation is going to take a huge toll on your mental health. If you have a good one, your mental health is going to be a lot better than if you're worried about how you're going to pay the rent, right? Because it's like a cascading effect, like dominoes. You guys ever play dominoes, right? You put the domino down as soon as one piece starts to fall and they all cascade. If you don't have a home, a base of operations to just rest your head at and like recharge, the rest of your life is going to fall out of whack, pretty quick, I think.
Long-term development, that is the human toll of this insecurity. And it is it is the consequence. It's the toll of what has happened when millions, not hundreds of thousands, but millions of families in this country have been flung into what a case manager in my book refers to as the housing Hunger Games.
You've cited a
Housing
number
Hunger Games.
of deficiencies across all sorts of categories that are failing people. But what institutions here need to change? Is this a failure of government, of industry, all of the above? How do you see it?
Yeah, I think it is all of the above. What I found in my reporting in the course of kind of immersing myself in the day-to-day lives of 5 families here in Atlanta where I live over a period of nearly 6 years, it's not just the housing system, which, prioritizes profits above all else. It's not just work and
gotta make
jobs
money.
and
They
wages
gotta
that
make
aren't
money.
keeping up with the cost of living. It's also other systems like healthcare, a lack of affordable childcare, the education system, food insecurity. All of these systems sort of collide to make this human disaster not just possible, but in many ways predictable and inevitable.
For anybody out there who has childcare, I do not. My wife stay at home, thank God. But for any of you out there watching that participate in childcare, let me know what you're paying a month for it, because I'm dying to know. Because I know that's gotten out of control over the past few years, just talking to my friends. But I'd be curious to, at other local markets besides, outside of Florida, what you guys are paying for that. Because at the end of the day, if childcare is eating up an entire salary's worth of someone's budget, you might as well have one person stay home.
Brian Goldstone, author of There Is No Place for Us. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
$28.17. So let's talk about that before we sign it on off. So I don't know about you, but I think most people probably do not make $28.17 an hour. So for those of you that are curious, about $47-ish an hour is about $100,000 a year. So $28.17 is somewhere in the $60,000 range, which is definitely above the median on last check. As far as household income goes, typically household income is above that. But again, if you have a family and it's just you and you just have, you're just working and your wife stayed home or your baby mama staying at home, yeah, $28.17, that might feel pretty tight. So it's just going to depend. And I know, for me personally, I want to do whatever I can to kind of guard myself against this, because it's just going to go up, right? Up and up and up. That's what people are living in the freaking RVs now, man. It's just, it is wild out there, the number of friends that I had. They're just like, yep, screw it, right? I'm going straight RV. Right? I'm living in my car. Slick Ricky over here in the freaking El Camino. Anyway, yeah, life's crazy right now. So if you're struggling, I feel for you. Like I said, Dad Gang's here for you. Like the video if you like it. If you didn't like it, I guess leave me a thumbs down, call me a loser. Nah, don't do that. I'm just kidding.